Michigan Congressman Justin Amash announcing today that he is leaving the Republican Party, blaming the current state of partisanship in Washington. Amash is the only Republican on Capitol Hill to call for President Trump's impeachment back in May, and the president not exactly sad to see him leave the GOP. Let's bring in Emily Larson now. She's the political reporter for the Washington Examiner. We'll get to what the president said in a moment, but first of all, Emily, let's talk about Congressman Justin Amash leaving the Republican Party. He's from Michigan, citing that the party's politics is in a partisan death spiral. So what's the impact of Amash's departure?
Well, the first impact, obviously, is that if Justin Amash goes into an election where there is a Republican candidate, a Democratic candidate, and him running as an independent candidate, that has complications for whether or not he's going to be reelected. He does have the incumbent advantage, but the Republican Party will not spend resources on him, obviously. They will spend resources and money on electing the Republican, so he's losing that. But Justin Amash has always had a very libertarian streak in him. And so when he sees the party going and getting behind Trump, he's always put sort of his principles above politics. And it's surprising, but not that surprising to see him leave the GOP.
All right. Well, of course, the president jumped in. He tweeted this morning at 6:05. He says, "Great news for the Republican Party as one of the dumbest and most disloyal men in Congress is quitting the party. No collusion, no obstruction. Knew he couldn't get the nomination to run again in the great state of Michigan, already being challenged for his seat, a total loser." So, Emily, do most of the GOP agree with President Trump that the party is better off without Congressman Amash?
Well, I think that the president's tweet when he was talking about loyalty shows that he doesn't really understand where Justin Amash is coming from as somebody who's always put sort of his principles over party. And Trump is very, into loyalty. And so I guess other Republicans definitely have a look to Justin Amash and think that the party is better off without him. One Republican congressman did call on Justin Amash to leave the GOP. And so but there might be some who are sad to see him go and think that they need an independent voice in the party.
Loyal to the party or loyal to the country? Let's see what Amash wrote in his op-ed piece in the Washington Post. He says, "The Republican Party, I believe, stood for limited government, economic freedom, and individual liberty, principles that had made the American dream possible for my family." So, listen, so Amash believes that the GOP should look closer into potential impeachable offenses that are outlined in the Mueller report. I mean, do these alerts by a member of the Tea Party or House Freedom Caucus raise any concerns and cause more conservative members of the GOP to take a second look? Or does Amash's own political pedigree raise suspicions?
I think that Amash has said that people have privately told him and his party that they see where he's coming from, but it's a very tough situation to be in when it's essentially become political suicide to be a Republican who's very outspoken against the president and criticizing the president.
So then what happens to the democracy if that's the case?
Well, I think that's something that the Republican Party needs to figure out. If the people in the party think that these are legitimate concerns that need to be investigated, then they're going to have to reconcile where the party goes from here. Is it the party of Trump, or is it the party that Justin Amash thought of limited government and freedom? But there is always the argument that the constitutional issues that the president, defenders of the president think that he can't be charged. He didn't obstruct justice, that these are mostly political attacks. So there are always going to be people in the party that agree with that point of view. And the question is, where is the party going to go?
All right, we will watch for that direction. Let's talk about the parade now. President Trump's Salute to America event, which the president says will be the show of a lifetime. Now, former Vice President Joe Biden is saying that President Trump's military parade misses, this is a quote, he says, it, quote, misses the whole point about why we are the country we are. He goes on to say that the U.S. should lead not by example of our power, but by the power of our example. And meanwhile, Emily, you've got some military and Pentagon officials concerned that this event will cast the traditionally nonpartisan military in a political light. What's your reporting on this?
Well, I think it depends, will likely very much depend on what Trump says during his speech at the event today and how he handles it. There are a lot of criticisms that I think he's getting about the cost of the event and spending so many resources on it that Republicans would just as quickly criticize a Democratic president on. And so those are concerns. But as far as the political...
I'm sorry, what was that point? That the Republicans would criticize a Democratic president, but we're not talking about a Democratic president right now.
Oh, no, we're not. But I'm saying that there are criticisms of President Trump's handling of this event and diverting so many resources to it that Democrats are attacking him on that I believe Republicans would attack a Democratic president on. But when it comes to political implications of the event, I think that will depend on how Trump handles this in his speech. And for one thing is that Trump is going to be criticized no matter what he does because he is a very political person in a very political office. But when you talk about the rest of the country and what they're seeing and how the Trump presidency impacts them, this is really just sort of a drop in the bucket compared to what everyday people are being impacted by, which is healthcare, immigration, the economy, and jobs. And so, while this is definitely going to be something that people attack the president on, it's not going to be probably something that's going to determine the outcome of his presidency.
So you're saying middle America, they have bigger fish to fry, and on this day, more hamburgers to grill. So it's all good with them. All right, you're looking good in red, Emily Larson. Thank you.
Thank you.